She faked careers, pregnancies, and even cancer, but none of her lies were as chilling as the one that ended in murder. In 2008, Maria lured her friend to dinner, staged an assault, and left behind what she thought was the perfect crime. But her biggest mistake? A bottle of chloroform and a bizarre statement involving yogurt and condensed milk. This is the story of a killer who almost got away with it. Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of A Brush with Death. I'm your host, Miss Casey Hanalei, and in this series I sit down, I tell you a true crime story, and I paint you, or sometimes draw you, a pretty picture at the same time. So if you love true crime and you love art, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and like and comment this video. That way you'll never miss one of my terrible, yet hopefully inspiring at the end, stories. So, like always, I'd like to introduce you to our special guest before we get into our case for the week. And today, I was feeling a little, saucy today. So I thought I'd introduce you to Miss Satin and Lace over here. I did this for, I think it was a lingerie show or like a burlesque show. I don't quite remember. I just remember it was like a sexy show, right? So I painted her a few years ago. I love this piece. She is hanging in my bathroom. Not right now, obviously, but usually she's hanging in my bathroom for beautify inspiration, right? So, all right. So who are we talking about today? We are talking about María Ángeles Molina, and this is a crazy case. I didn't find a ton on it just because a lot of it's based in Spain, right? So I didn't find a ton of it, and a lot of it was in Spanish. But I thought it was a crazy case, and there's supposed to be a Netflix documentary coming out about it. It's supposed to come out in May, but it was actually held back due to a court ruling, which I thought was fascinating in itself. So why don't we get into this case and let's talk about it. So like I said, I couldn't find a ton of details on this case, particularly when our murderer was born, because she does murder someone in this case. So we are talking about María Ángeles Molina today. She was born and raised in Barcelona, Spain, and she married an entrepreneur named Juan Antonio Alvarez Lidman, who strangely died under mysterious circumstances in 1996. His death was first ruled suicide, but Molina inherited his fortune shortly after, a fact that later aroused suspicion after what she does next, right? So we're already not starting off too great for Maria here. So not much is known about Maria's upbringing, but what we do know is that after her husband Juan's death in 1996, she inherited his wealth, like I said, but was quickly dissatisfied after that wealth ran out, and she was trying to live up to her current lifestyle, right? So over the next decade, she adopted numerous false personas to sustain her lavish lifestyle and to deflect suspicion. So she has a long list of things that she pretended to be. One was she claimed to be a psychologist, no degree to be seen. She posed as a lawyer. She played the role of a cancer patient undergoing treatment. She pretended to be a mother with a lot of fake pregnancies. She portrayed herself as a victim of abuse. And she exploited social media, even posting photos of non-existent children to reinforce all of these identities. So she's a con artist. She is trying to maintain whatever lifestyle she has, getting people to, believe her up until a point. And then when people start to suspect her, she probably changes into something else, right? And changes social circles and all that kind of stuff. So Again, I wish I could find more on her and her background. A lot of it, too, is in court records right now that we don't have access to. So maybe eventually when this court ruling is lifted, we'll be able to understand a lot more of what actually happened and who she actually is, right? But there's a lot of mystery surrounding Maria right now. So the other player in this case, who is also the victim, is Anna Páez. So she, again, not a lot I could find on her, but she was a 35-year-old fashion designer working with Molina in Mataro, Spain. In Spain. They first became close around 2006. Molina fostered a trusting relationship, presenting herself to Anna as a cultured mentor, which she is not. Anna trusted her very deeply, and that trust would eventually be betrayed. So between 2006 and 2007, this is when Molina stole Anna's identity, like unbeknownst to Anna, right? And she opened 6 credit cards accounts, which totaled 102,000 euro, which in US dollars, that's $118,000. And then she opened 10 life insurance policies, totaling 840,000 euros, which is right around $978,000. So we're defrauding well over $1 million here at this point. She even used a third identity named Susanna B to funnel benefits secretly to, basically to like not make sure that it wasn't traced back to herself, right? So it was all a part of her very dark plan to kill Anna, assume her identity, and collect on the insurance payout. So the day of the murder, February 19th, 2008, Maria invited Anna over to a rented flat that she had in Barcelona. She lured her there under the guise of serving her dinner. So she gets there, and investigators say that she drugged her, likely with chloroform, and then she ends up suffocating Anna by placing a sealed plastic bag over her head. Also, something else that came out that I find particularly disturbing is that before the murder, Maria visited a Barcelona male brothel to commission 2 male sex workers to collect their semen in containers. She then preserved the samples to plant on Anna's body afterward. Can we all say premeditation here? And this was, you guessed it, to stage a sexual assault, basically. And she planted these things on Anna's body and set up her body in a way that it looked like she, had died from, a very intense sexual assault, which is just horrible. So anyways, the forensic experts later said that these were placed post-mortem also, so they could tell somehow that these were placed after Anna's death. So, how did they get there? So a few days later, on February 21st, 2008, a cleaner arrived at the rented flat to clean it, right? Just a few days after Maria had left the apartment, and found Anna's body on the sofa. Anna was naked with her hands tied and a sealed plastic bag over her head. And like I said, she had samples from 2 men seemingly staging a sexual assault, initially misleading investigators, but thankfully they are hot on the trail of Maria. So So CCTV footage captured Maria disguised in a wig, withdrawing 600 euros from Anna's bank account the morning after the murder. She then drove to Zaragoza to collect her own father's ashes, which was like meaning to be her alibi, but they later proved that that was, even if she did go, it still didn't like cover her for the murder. So that wasn't as airtight as she thought it was going to be. They also found Anna's passport and ID hidden in a bathroom, I think the toilet tank in Maria's apartment. And a sealed bottle of chloroform was also discovered, linking her with the premeditation, right, to drugging her. So, they get all this evidence together and they perform a trial in 2012. During her trial, Maria offered shifting stories about her whereabouts post-murder. First, she said that she was buying a watch in El Corte Inglés, which was later proved to be false. She then claimed she stopped to pick up yogurt and condensed milk, which I mentioned in my opener, which came to it was very bizarre. In the courtroom, the quote was, she stated, "Without yogurts or condensed milk, I am nothing." Which didn't really hit the jury very well. It was perceived as chilling and very out of touch for Maria to say, her fixation on trivial details while taking someone's life was very disturbing, and just kind of like the emotional detachment from the whole thing definitely set her back a little bit. So there's a few other ways that they caught up to Maria as well. She wasn't the cleanest, and she was pretty sloppy with, she was trying to do a lot of things, but I think the details she was over her head. So there were some financial anomalies, right? So the bank and insurance representatives provided testimony in the trial linking Maria to forged documents and fraudulent accounts. Also, the semen that was collected traced back to the brothel, and they obviously asked those gentlemen what happened, and they, basically were like, Maria did it. They also linked the plastic bag, the chloroform bottle, and the hidden documents, painted a very clear picture that Maria had, strong suspicions that Maria had something to do with it, right? There was also surveillance footage undermining her alibi and the identity theft claims, right? Who was suspicious? Bank employees. They spotted her almost immediately with multiple insurance and credit card applications in Anna's name. Also, Anna's boyfriend found Anna's documents hidden in Maria's bathroom, which he reported, right? So he's suspicious as well. So she was arrested pretty immediately. She was arrested in 2008, and the investigation moved on, and eventually in 2012 we get to the trial, right? So in 2012, a Barcelona High Court found the evidence overwhelming and undeniable. No crap. And Maria was sentenced to 22 years, 18 for homicide and 4 for large-scale fraud. Only 4 for fraud? Only 18 for homicide? Premeditated homicide, she only gets 18 years. They dubbed this the near-perfect crime for her to commit, but obviously she was caught in the end. So I mentioned her husband earlier as well. So with Anna's death and the conviction of her murder, Juan Antonio's death was initially attributed to suicide, but they actually reopened his case since Maria was the one to inherit all his wealth, right? So, you know, a forensic criminologist later noted, like, after, they found Juan Antonio dead, there was a lot of things that were missing, things probably mentioned in his will and all sorts of stuff, right? So there was like a lot of disappearing valuables, including portfolios and also a Rolex watch. Like, somebody's going to notice that that's missing, right? So that suggested foul play, not only because she got everything, but there was also lots of valuables being, misplaced. Despite the red flags, no concrete forensic proof tied Maria to his death. Therefore, no charges were ultimately filed against Maria and Juan's death, which is, it's sad that he doesn't get justice. I feel like there's something there. And maybe with, there's still like proceedings going on and stuff. Like, I think they're still looking into a lot of stuff. So maybe eventually, we'll find something more on her. But so this is the biggest kicker. And what initially drew me to the case was, I guess in Spain, they have like prison leave. Like, you can, take a break from prison and go out, which, well, other countries do that. I should have looked it up, but I find that really interesting. And maybe it's like I'm pretty sure it's all like in, they want reformation, right? They want to be able to redistribute these people back into society, those who can be rehabilitated, right? So I'm pretty sure it's like that kind of program, right, where they're like testing it out and seeing how they're going to do, right? Kind of like our parole stuff, right? So in 2025, March 2025, while briefly on prison leave, Maria was rearrested for allegedly plotting another homicide via a hitman. Now, no details are really known to the public right now, which is like killing me. The intended victim isn't even public, and, Maria hasn't even testified on behalf of the new charges, right? So we don't really know a lot, but this is why I was attracted to this case, was I saw that, like, you can't just keep it together for like 2 seconds and pretend that you're reformed. Come on, dude. Anyways, so, like I mentioned earlier, there was a Netflix series that was supposed to come out actually in May of 2025, called Angi, Fake Life True Crime. But it was pulled due to a Spanish court injunction. Maria objected to the use of her personal images without her consent. So, who knows, maybe it will be released. I really want to know more about this case. It's really fascinating to me, like, what drove Maria to... I just want to know more. I want to know more about her background. I want to know more about what led her to these things. And then also, like, most importantly, like, what led her to reoffend. And why can't you just settle down? And anyways, so yeah, I know this was like kind of a short case too. I thought I would kind of switch it up and do something maybe a little bit more mysterious, right? I don't have a lot of details on this case, but maybe as it unfolds, I will give you guys more updates. And tag me in something if you see something. Make sure that you like, send it to me, because I want to know. I want to know if there's any updates on this case, right? So, and then we can cover it again and maybe do a little bit more detail and a little bit more of a deep dive. So, like always, I like to end on a quote, and I thought I really love this one. So this is from Stephen King, one of our favorite authors around here. And he says, "The trust of the innocent is the liar's most useful tool." The chilling words from Stephen King remind us that evil doesn't always show up with a weapon. It can arrive with a smile, a kind gesture, and a lie wrapped in friendship. María Ángeles Molina didn't just steal identities, she stole trust. And in doing so, she destroyed Anna's life. You know, a life that believed in her and trusted her wholeheartedly. And, you know, I guess I just wanted to cover this case because trust is such a big thing right now. You know, there's a lot of turmoil going on in the world right now, and we do not trust anyone. I don't think, like, my trust is wavering, right? I trust very few people right now. But I guess I just wanted to inspire you to, you know, trust is sacred, right? The trust you have with your own relationships is sacred. You know, protect it at all costs. And, you know, even when it's dampened, the truth always has a way of clawing its way out and coming to the surface, right? So that's just something that I wanted to mention. And RIP to Anna and Juan too. I hope that they're in a better place right now and, you know, free of Maria at least. So with that, let's look at our final piece, which, oh goodness, I have to kind of back this one up because it is so messy. Oh, I really like it, like far back too. So this is, I've been doing like more symbolic things lately. I don't know, I've been in a mood lately. And the flame in this represents truth, right? And even the smallest bit of truth illuminates, you know, the mysteries beyond, right? So even if you have a small spark of truth, protect it, make sure it doesn't go out, and, you know, just keep making the next right choice, like I always say, right? And truth will prevail, right? At least I hope so. So, okay, guys. Well, I hope you liked this case as much as I love putting them together. Again, I know it was a short one. I'm sorry, but you know, maybe shorter ones are better too, and fits in your day a little better, and you know, you can get a quick little round of Casey, and then, you know, go on with your day. Right? So, all right, guys, don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment on this video. If you see any updates on María Molina's case, please let me know. I want to know about it. And I hope I see you guys in the next one. Please be kind to one another, be kind to yourself, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. All right, bye, guys. See you later. See you in the next one. Bye. You know, I don't really talk about the makeup on this channel. I should. I feel like people ask me all the time, like, what I'm wearing. But I found this really cool, it's Sephora brand, but this cool lip stain. And I was inspired by my nail color. You can see it's like a lavender. And I saw this girl on Instagram, and she was trying out old, like, discontinued, I think it was Chanel lipsticks. And she had one this color, and I, like, loved it, and I couldn't find it anywhere. And then I went to Sephora, and I got it. So I thought I'd wear it for you today, guys. Looks a little frosty, a little like I'm a little frostbitten. It's nice. It's real nice. It's really gothy, vampy look, you know? Like if a vampire was in the Arctic, like that kind of look, right? Yeah.